One of the biggest wars in your lifetime that's directly affecting you is actually happening right now. And welcome back to the weekly market recap. We go over this week's market while keeping it as simple as possible. Now, before we go over this major war that's affecting all of us right now between the United States and the rest of the world, some of the biggest companies in the United States did report earnings and they showed their report card to the world. And I want to let you guys know exactly what they're showing. So the first two major earnings that we received were Wednesday after the market closed, and we received Meta and Microsoft earnings. And if you look below, you'll see that both Meta and Microsoft did beat on earnings per share and revenue. And if you look at the chart for both of these companies for last week, you'll see that they both had a nice boost in stock price after investors seen those earnings report. Now, Thursday, we received the next two big earnings report, and they were huge, and they were Amazon and Apple. And looking below, you'll see the earnings per share and revenue were beat on both those companies. But if you look at the chart for both of them, they show a different story. You'll see that Amazon was basically flat after earnings, and Apple stock took a nice fall down. So what's the difference between Amazon and Apple than Meta and Microsoft? Well, if you think about it, Meta and Microsoft are more a software company, so it's not really hardware that's getting made. Microsoft has more hardware, but a lot of their stuff is due over the cloud. Now, Amazon and Apple, on the other hand, are completely different. If you think about it, probably about 50% of the products that sold on Amazon were made in China. And then on the Apple side, majority of their iPhones is actually made in China. So much so that now Apple is planning to adjust its production from iPhones in China to India. So we see the impacts of trade wars that's having an effect on some of the biggest companies in the United States. Now let's talk about the biggest topic in the market, and again, that is trade wars. And we have a major updates. But we see trade wars is affecting some of the biggest companies in the world, but honestly, these trade wars are affecting the consumer, people like me and you, in a major way. And honestly, if they do not get fixed by the summertime, when we go into stores, we might get a rude awakening with prices from different products that we normally buy could be a lot higher. Now, last week we heard news from the United States and Donald Trump's side saying deals between United States and China is starting to be underway. And then on China's side, China said we have not started conversations at all. Now, this week, if you look at this headline, China is saying that talks between China and the USA on these tariff wars are starting to actually come about. So we'll see if these trade wars will finally get negotiated, and we'll see some tangible news on if these tariffs are actually coming down or not. So obviously the market is patiently waiting for some type of trade deal between the United States and China so that these trade wars can be a thing of the past and we can know exactly where we're going ahead. But as well, this week we have some major technical levels that I have to let you guys know about. So first, let's go to S&P 500. So the S&P 500 been up for consecutive 9 days in a row, and that actually has not happened since about 2004. So that's a big deal. But we're getting close to a major level in the S&P 500 that you have to watch for, and that number is 5,700 on the S&P 500. So we need to see exactly what the market does when it hits that point, because it could continually shoot up or we could have a nasty pullback. And as well, in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin has hovered at that level of the $96,000. So this week we need to see if Bitcoin can confirm a day above that amount, or we're going to get rejection back down in Bitcoin. So still, with everything that's going globally, the market is still at a very pivotal point to see, are we going to go back up or we're going to have a nasty downside and go into a recession. This week we did receive GDP, and GDP was negative. And the old metric was if we have two consecutive GDP reports and they were negative, that means a recession is here. So again, we just have to be patient and see exactly how this plays out. So again, this is the weekly market recap. Hopefully you guys learned something. I'll see you soon. Peace.